Today we would be understanding some of the most important questions that usually come from the teaching aptitude section. Now let's talk about the first question. It is an ideal teacher's responsibility to. Now what a good teacher would do? There are various options. He would convince the students about the value of education. Definitely yes, because that's the real objective of learning. So what would be the learning outcome? What he would benefit out of it would be some of the things that the students must be made aware about. The next is help students start thinking out of the box. Now, this focuses on creativity. Focusing on creativity and inquisitiveness is some of the most important primary responsibility of a good teacher. So, definitely, this is again correct. And create an immersive environment where student is fully involved in understanding the ideas of learning and why he is learning. So learning, we can say, is practically impossible without an immersive environment that is there. So all the three choices here stand correct. Now most of the questions that we have discussed are from past papers and the kind of questions that are usually asked. For most of the teaching aptitude questions, as I repeat again and again, it's important to place yourself as a teacher, not as a student, while attempting the questions. The next is, it is often said that teachers learn most from the students. Now, this is a very, very interesting question. Why teachers learn from student? Definitely not because students have poor knowledge and lots of doubt. Definitely not because students have information of latest thing. Teacher can also have information of latest thing. Also, access to technology is same for both, but what is important is they have a huge set of unique problems, or their imagination has numerous questions that are unsolved. So their imagination and their unique problems makes a teacher learn a lot from the student. So let's say I take a lecture here, and then you have certain doubts that are raised. Some of the doubts I would address, the other of the doubts might be challenging. So, what I would have to go is, I have to go back and I would have to refer some standard text for that. So, what would happen? This is learning from the students. This was not part of the learning that I did in the first round. As simple as that. The next is, effectiveness of lectures can be enhanced if. Now, effectiveness is enhanced if, let's say, I am preparing certain handouts, but I'm not only trying to guide you, on the same time, I'm trying to connect things across disciplines. So let's say we are doing teaching aptitude here. We are trying to understand how this teaching aptitude is really applicable when you are a faculty, when you are a guest faculty, when you are a permanent faculty at a university, at an institution, and then also trying to connect. So that was first thing. The second thing is also trying to connect subjects across discipline. So how teaching plays an important role in the field of education. Teaching has lot of scientific understandings. There have been lots of scientific researches going on to enhance the scope of teaching. Similarly, most of the subjects in social sciences, we would say, are interdisciplinary in nature. For example, economics, to understand economics, you need to have understand the human behavior. My human behavior can change. On one day I can go into the market and spend, let's say, 2000 rupees. On the next day I might go into the market to spend not a single penny and return back. So that's a kind of human psychology or a behavioral aspect which is highly dynamic but is a very integral part of understanding economics. So you have economics and psychology combined as a one subject, and therefore we say, not combined as a one subject, but yes, interdisciplinary. You need to connect the ideas of the two. So you have D as the right option here. The next is, television is superior to radio. Very, very simple explanation. Radio is merely audio, whereas television is audio video. So you have audio visual. So you have both the element of hearing as well as seeing, which are there. Now, definitely sound and sight provides better information. So you have C as the right option here. The next question is, an ideal method to handle academically backward students. Now, academically backward can be due to various reasons. They could be due to lack of development of mental faculties, they could be due to various learning hindrances that are there. So the best idea is to understand and motivate those children, why those children are backward in the studies. In the rest of the life they are performing good, they are normal. So you have to find out. Scolding them is definitely not a good option because it's a kind of negative reinforcement. You would have a negative association that would be developed. Also, talking to the parents, and if the parents were able to solve it, then definitely the child would have not been academically backward. So it's a requirement of a teacher to understand what actually the problem is with the student and motivate them to work further. Okay, so those are kind of questions that are usually part of your teaching aptitude section. Now the next question here is, the best method to win a student's trust is. A student's trust can be won when you are scholarly, you know your subject very well, but at the same time you are honest. How do we understand that? As I gave you the example previously, the same example, let's take it again. So what's happening? You are scholarly, that means you know a topic, you know a subject. I'm here, I'm teaching you teaching aptitude, so I believe that I know the subject. But at the same time, if you are putting up certain questions, I'm not able to answer those. I have to be honest in the sense that, okay, I'll go back, refer it, understand, and explain you again. And some of the teachers could be there who might say, oh no, you keep on asking nonsense questions in the class, and so on and so forth. So there could be various responses to the same problem. But a good teacher is usually honest and has a sound academic knowledge, and it's only and only then you are able to win the students' trust. So basically the characteristics of ideal teacher and winning students' trust goes simultaneously. The next is, if the student is continuously absent in your class, what would you do? Submitting a report to a principal seems to be a simple option but not a practical option, because principal would just call, scold, and that won't help bring student in line with the studies regularly. Okay, the next is report to the tutor and continue your work. Again, this is not a good method. The same reason for the first as we discussed. Tell other students and ask them to intimate about the absentees. That is some of the most common strategies that is being adopted across the country. But definitely this would not help understand the reasons of his absentees and create solutions for his presentism. So what is required is understanding the reasons and the remedies for them. So reason and remedy becomes your right option here. Very, very important. As a teacher, you have to keep in mind, you have to proceed with solutions, not problems. Okay, the next question is, a serious minded teacher as a rule, very, very important, a serious minded teacher would allow students to commit mistakes. Committing mistakes is not a problem, we all learn from mistakes. So allowing students to commit mistake is okay, but how to minimize those? For example, a student is good at mathematics, he is solving all the mathematics questions nicely, but towards the end, let's say he does some silly mistakes, plus becomes minus, minus becomes plus. So what is a good idea is to allow him to commit, but explain him how he can just go back to the answer, put it in the main question, and substitute the values and see whether you would have the right options that are coming or not. So that's one way, and this would help minimize the error that is coming. So allowing mistakes to happen but minimizing those to happen is very, very crucial. The next is, concept of a teacher as a sole source of information has become obsolete. Why? Now previously, when there was guru shishya parampara, or the traditional method of teaching, what teacher used to say was the final wordings. There was no ifs and buts about it. But with the change in digital world, with the advent of information technology, we have significantly new information that is available around the globe. So the role of teacher is not providing information is not a source of information now. It is a kind of information superhighway. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to connect internet to information. We are trying to focus not only on knowledge, the absolute information, but also on wisdom, how to develop wisdom. So that's a very very important aspect. Source of knowledge, you would find in number of sources and in number of things that are available there on internet, on digital medium. But what is important is to bridge those, understand those, grasp those, and develop a wisdom. So that is very very important logic. The next is arranging the following teaching processes in a correct order. Now for any teaching process to happen, what happens at the first? At the first, you have certain objectives to be fulfilled. Okay. Now once you have the objectives to be fulfilled, you would present the knowledge with the previous one, that is review of literature. You would say, okay, in the previous sources this was there, now there are these loopholes that are present in this study, so I'll proceed further and understand the concepts. So there would be a kind of understanding of the concepts, then the presentation of the material, followed by an evaluation by the faculty, and if required there could be reteaching if the student has not learned it properly. There would be explanation of the same concept again and again. So that is what is reteaching. So you have uh, at the first position this is there, then you have review of literature, or understanding or relating a kind of present knowledge with the past knowledge. We use the term review of literature mainly with research aptitude, not with teaching aptitude, but this is similar to that, where we are trying to connect the present with the past. Okay, and then you have presentation of the material, which is the third. Finally evaluation is done, and if required there is reteaching that is done. So that becomes your right order. So these were some of the types of questions that are usually part of your question paper. Some of the questions are there from the past paper. We would be covering all the major units for your paper 1. Teaching aptitude is indeed a very very scoring subject. You have at least 4 to 5 questions from this section, and very very scoring. You don't have to go into depth of lot of concepts. Superficial understanding of lots of concepts would help you sail through with good marks in teaching aptitude. Have a wonderful day.